Hello out there. I've decided to come back and do another part of my character customizer devlog series. Um, I really should be working on the next release of DTH, specifically on control rigs, but I decided I need a break from that because working on control rigs in 5.4 is very tedious, very prone to crashing. I recently completed the rig for Dictator 9, and I'm partway through a rig for Golden Palace 9. But I also have a leg rig to do. I have done the arm, spine, neck, and the face board for G9 as well. They're all pretty much finished, but anyway, like I say, sometimes I just don't feel like working on control rigs, so I decided to do this instead. So, where we left off in part 2, we have a very basic UI widget controlling a slider, specifically two animation curves or pose asset curves, going from thin to heavy. So that's where we left off. So I'm not sure really what I want to do tonight. Let's maybe start with jiggle physics just for something different. I'm going to need the files that we exported out of Houdini. We've already imported our physics pose asset, so we have our physics poses ready to go. So inside our animation blueprint, I'm going to put these after everything else. The way we're going to do it is the easy way, which is using spring controllers, and I do have a video up on my YouTube channel where I go through all this in more detail, so I'm not going to cover it in as much detail here. So I'm going to drop down a few spring controllers. These work in component space, which means we have to do a space switch from local to component. So it's best to do that as fewer times as possible. So there is a cost to switching spaces, so we'll just do it the once. We'll put all our jiggle controllers in here before we go back to local space. Alright, let's start with breastbones. Can never remember the settings I landed on in the last tutorial. Something like this, I think. We'll start with that. Can always tweak them later. Alright, here's some bones jiggling. So now we want to set up our pose drivers, which thankfully DTH makes it fairly easy to do. Just gonna copy the code it's generated, paste it in. Now for all of these pose drivers, assign it our physics pose asset. And just like that, we get some jiggling happening. Obviously it doesn't look great on a character this thin. We play our scene again. It's very subtle, but we are seeing some jiggling. I just exaggerate things a bit. Probably too much. So it is working. Oops. That's 5. So we'll see. We don't want a thin character shouldn't jiggle. So I think ideally we want to adjust the jiggle blending based on the weight of the character. It's a really simple way to do it. We could get very fancy and at some stage down the line when we have separate breast morphs and potentially stomach morphs for customizing that part of the character, we'd be able to get more granular. But for now, let's just either have it off when the weight is thin, or the slider is towards the thin scale, and increase it when it gets heavier. So every spring controller has this alpha pin exposed, so we could probably just use that, I'm thinking. And we already have our DNA structure returning a 0 to 1 value for this heavy morph, or this heavy animation curve, so we could probably just copy that whole block. We might do this a bit neater later on, because this list will also get very long as we add more full body morphs, but for now we could just get away with doing that, I think. So what I'll also do, I think, just for now anyway, is change the animation we're playing. Something that's going to jiggle a bit more, potentially. So these are the animations I retargeted from the city crowd samples. Be something like that. So now we shouldn't have any jiggling while the slider is at 0, and we shouldn't have it when it's thin. But as we increase it, we will get more jiggling. You would have seen there that, sort of mentioned before, the arms are clipping through the thighs in some animations. So to fix that, we can also hook up our arm offset pose to the same slider value potentially. We'll probably want to remap it. I need to look into animation blueprints further. They don't seem to have the same functionality as regular blueprints in terms of just keeping them neat, like collapsing graphs and things. I know we could stash the pose and use it elsewhere, but ultimately it doesn't make that much difference. Anyway, we'll just keep adding onto this for now, and we'll tidy it up perhaps somewhere down the track. So what we need to do to get our offset added, you just first go into our DNA structure. We'll add a new one. So we can see it there. So we don't really want that one, do we? We want to hook it up to heavy for now. Actually, no, we'll leave it as its own. This happened to me before when I changed the structure. Some things break. It's very annoying. This one in particular. So I think we just need to work from the start of our DNA chain backwards potentially. So if I open up our customiser widget, compile that, just make sure it's good. We can expose the arm offset value as well. I'll do another map because we might not want this to be 100% applied. So we're basically taking what is essentially our heavy slider value. We're just going to plug that into arm offset. We'll leave it as 0 to 1 for now, but like I say, we'll probably want to scale this down a bit. So if I go back to our level blueprint, just compile that. Shouldn't need to do anything with these, but it's, yeah, like I say, just a weird glitch where I effectively have to delete, I think, and remap, re-add that. You can see now we have our arm offset being applied, as I thought it's probably a little too much. In Daz, I probably shouldn't have bent the arms up that much when I was creating this pose, and we might fix it when, if and when we do go back into Daz to add to our ROM. But for now, I think in the customizer widget, I can just cap this at something like 0.5. It's a bit better. I just tone the jiggle physics back because it alright, it's looking alright. I've forgotten already what other morphs we added. Feminine and masculine, let's do those. Put that at the top actually. Sorry about that. I'm back. My cat decided to come and visit me and demand food. What else should we have? On those. Done that. These two don't really go together. I should have added a taller morph for the shorter version. We'll do fit and muscly. Some of these probably won't be going to the negative, they'll just be 0 or 1. There won't be an opposing, I suppose, variant of them, but for now we'll set it up that way. That needs to be -1. So does that. I actually need to expose a default value as well for some of these, I think. These will all need to be variables. So what I was originally hoping was to be able to, rather than exposing the pins on the struct, it would have been great if there was a way to just pass the name of the struct member that we wanted to update. That way I could get away with just having a single function essentially that updates the DNA for all sliders. I could not find a way to do that. I don't think it's possible in blueprints. I think structures are pretty limited in blueprints. It's certainly possible in C++. So unfortunately it means we're having to kind of repeat this pattern for all of our sliders. So that's what we'll do, I guess. We also need to update our structure now that I think about it. So rename that, it's broken it. Okay. And unfortunately means that I'm sure this will break again. Yeah, that's an annoying bug. I don't know. Hope they fix that. So still got our heavy thin. It's not working. No, it's not working. What have I forgotten? Oh, I know what I forgot. That actually needs some leg offsets similar to the arm offsets for muscly characters as well. What might also be handy is just a little button next to these so you can zero them out again. Not sure whether it's necessary to show the actual value, probably not. All right, this is pretty much where I got up to the first time I did this. Might tidy up the UI a little bit. The other thing I started working on the first time was some camera position presets, so that if you're working on head customization specifically, the camera could sort of zoom in to the head. to change that animation. Just go back to this one for now. See our character's hovering off the floor a little bit. All right. I really do not understand a lot about how these UI widgets work in terms of positioning and spacing. I find it all very curious. I mean, very confusing. What I'd like to do is have this panel on the right hand side of this horizontal box. Don't know if that's possible. Possibly I don't want a horizontal box. Seems to do what I want. What I'm thinking is, because I want to, I guess, group the various sliders for different sections of the body into categories, and on the right I'll have a, head, body, breasts, arms, whatever, down the left, and then the sliders in that category on the right. That's kind of what I'm thinking of at the moment. Something like that, maybe. Hmm. don't want to resize some of these, obviously, but we're sort of roughing things out before we spend too much time on the look of it. So my plan is to do something similar for the, I guess, the category selector, because I want, if we click the head category, I'd like the camera to move in closer to the head, and I'm planning to use a struct for that as well, I think. So there'll basically be a struct of camera presets. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So what do we need? Just gotta think this through a bit. I think I want the I think I don't want the camera to rotate. It'll just be responsible for zooming in and out. And for rotation, if we do want to rotate at all, we'll rotate the character instead of the camera, just so that the character, the lighting that's on the character is always from the right angle. So you're never looking at it from here, for example. So. All right. So we need a presets that will control how far this is away from the center. That'll be our zoom. Start with that. Can I rename that? Sorry. Make that one an array. So our rest preset will be basically this. Negative 500 on the X. With no rotation. There's probably a more elegant way to do this, but I'm not aware of it at the moment. So the body category can be our default position, so 0. Head can be 1. We need another preset for the head. Trying to work out why I wasn't centered, but then I remember the animation isn't centered. I'm probably going to want a better animation that keeps the head more or less centered, or we can potentially track the head with the camera. So let's say that's preset is minus 85, 74, something like that. I also need to account for the fact that I've raised it here actually. So what I might do, zero out the transform on that. No, I didn't. I don't understand where that offset's coming from. Try that. I do want smooth camera transitions, which means I'll have to fire on tick, I think. For now, till I can come up with a more elegant solution. Just going to make sure our category is getting passed through. Yeah. Maybe I need to do something about the focus as well. Just thinking how best to handle the focus. We could add the focal distance to our presets. And like I said before, ideally the character shouldn't move around this much when we're really looking at parts of it close up. We could possibly transition back to this animation when we're in the sort of full body view, and then transition to a more still animation for the head. And I ideally have some facial animations running on it as well. In the first iteration I just had the focal distance as part of the preset, and it worked quite well, but I'm now wondering whether we need a cine camera at all. Probably could have just used regular camera, and not worried about it, but I kind of like the cinematic look we can potentially get once everything's sort of working properly. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there for this part. I made a little bit of progress today. We will keep going in the next part. Thanks for watching. Bye.